Hey guys, it's your boy, Rotten Plays, Robbie Rotten here, and I felt like 2021 was a really good year for music. So I wanted to do my top 25 music releases of 2021 in the form of a tier list because I love tier lists. You guys have seen some of my old tier lists, which some are very controversial, and that's the way I like it. Um, if you haven't, you can go check them out now. I haven't done one in a while, but I felt like doing one. I could just do like a long YouTube video list form, just naming 25 to 1, but I'm going to do it this way because I think this way is more fun. Um, the order is kind of randomized. It's alphabetical. Not really random, but it's alphabetical, so it's not going to go in order of what I like the best or anything. But we're going to go through it in every tier. There's no negatives, really. Uh, the worst tier is solid, but which is it's kind of like it's a really solid release. It's good. It's just there's something about it that is keeping me from calling it really good. Then there's good, great, amazing, and all timers. And by that, I don't mean necessarily that it's going to be considered like an all time great release by everybody, but by me, I consider it like an all time like something I'm going to be listening to and coming back to forever, basically. So let's uh let's jump into it. We're gonna start with Architects here with their full length album For Those That Wish to Exist. This came out, I believe, in February or something, so pretty early in the year. They had a bunch of singles that came out. They had two big singles that came out at the end of last year. That if you ever listen to my podcast that I did with a good friend of mine named Brad, it's called Dig on This. I did touch on that a little bit there because I loved both of those singles, and the album is fantastic. I'm gonna throw it in amazing right here. Um, the only thing, in my opinion, that's keeping it from being an all timer is I think the album's too long. There's like 15 or 16 tracks. If this had been 12, 10 tracks, something like that, this would easily be an all timer, like top three for sure, no doubt about it. But I just think there's a couple of tracks that weigh it down. There's a feature by some guy I've never heard of on it. I don't even remember his name. It's so bad. Like literally, he starts screaming, and I'm like, "Who is that?" Like he's that bad. I don't know who he is, but I did not like that feature. And there's just a couple of songs that are a little bit too fluffy for me. I think if they had just gone more killer, less filler, it would have been an all timer. And seriously, I would say 8 to 10 of the songs on this album are insanely good. It's just those couple other ones weigh it down a little bit. Just a little bit too much. Doesn't mean it's not a great album. It's going to be pretty close to the top of amazing. It's just not going to make an all timer for me. But still, great job. I think most of Architect's best songs they've ever written, in my opinion, are on this album. So that's a lot. They're a great band, so that's saying a lot. Next up, let's go on to Attack Attack with their return EP called Long Time No See, but C is spelled SEA like the ocean. You know, irony, not really irony, but like a pun, I guess. It's pretty funny. Uh, and they kind of went pretty wacky on this EP. Like the opening track is literally just like it's called Kauai Cowboys, and it's just a wacky like instrumental. It's so weird. But the EP is really cool. Um, I was not really a fan of Attack Attack in their first run. They had some crazy good members come from it though, like Johnny Frank with Bill Murray, and Caleb Shomo with Beartooth, and Austin Carlisle with a Mice and Men. So yeah, they've done pretty well for themselves individually. None of those people are involved with this project now. They have a new vocalist. I think it's I don't even know who's still involved with that band. Maybe like the drummer and the bassist or something like that from old days. But they have a completely different sound. It's not metalcore really. It's kind of like post-hardcore with a lot of electronic stuff in it. It's cool. There's some rock in there. I wanted to put it in the bottom of great, but I'm gonna put it at the top of good. I just think it's just missing that little specialty to be great. But it's really good. I really enjoyed it, and I'm gonna continue to listen to it. Especially standout tracks for me are Dear Wendy and Brachyura Bombshell. Really cool stuff. And then we have Austin Mead with his single Happier Alone off the album Black Sheep. I saw Austin Mead at the first concert I went back to since the pandemic, which was Seven Dust, and he was one of the opening acts. And this song was just really catchy. I heard it and it just stuck in my head the rest of the week, and I keep coming back to it. It's a good song. Um, I don't really find much else from them that I really enjoy, but I do really enjoy this song. I'm gonna put it in good. Check it out though. It's really cool. It's really catchy. During the performance, they let some beach balls out of the crowd. It was a really fun time. Next up, we have Avril Lavigne with a return to her pop punk roots with the single "Bite Me." Um, it's awesome. It sounds so good. This is the best thing Avril Lavigne has released in about 10 years, or maybe even more. Uh, it's really fun. Some of the lyrics are kind of cheesy, but that's Avril Lavigne for you. She's a good songwriter, but her lyrics are not always the best. I'm gonna put it in great. I think it's a great song. Definitely what we've been waiting for years. I've always been a fan of hers, especially that pop punk kind of style. So the pop punk princess is back. Travis Barker is featured on this EP as well, or this song. I'm looking forward to whatever else she does. There's also an acoustic version of it. It sounds really really good too. Her voice sounds great. So I love that song. Next up, we have Black Hole by We Came as Romans. They released 3 singles this year. The first one was called Dark Bloom, and it's a good it's a really good song. Um, it just missed out on this list for me, but this is where it's at. Black Hole featuring Caleb Shomo from Beartooth, and it's gonna go right here, just above the Architects album. Um, this is the best thing I've heard from them in a long time. I liked Kyle Pavan in the band a lot. He was a great vocalist, but honestly, this is the best that We Came as Romans has probably ever sounded. Like I think this sound suits them even better. I think Dave is a better vocalist overall. That's not to knock Kyle at all, but it's just it works better for me in my opinion. The feature works really well. I'm not a huge fan of features, but it's not too intrusive. It's just one verse, and it sounds really good. It adds to the song, and I just love the song. It's so catchy. It's just really cool, really well produced, and I love it. I love it. It's a great song. Um, then we have a cover of Hunger Strike from Chris Daughtry and LeJohn Witherspoon from Seven Dust. And I forget how good Chris Daughtry is. Just because most of the music he puts out is kind of boring in my opinion. I mean, it's not bad or anything. It never really catches my ear. His first album was really good. And then after that, he kind of just put out, I don't know, the same old songs over and over again. And this came out featuring, one of my favorite vocalists ever, and Chris Daughtry. And Daughtry kills it. John does great too, but Daughtry knocks it out of the park. Like, it's insane how good it is. This is going to go into great. Um, like, I'm not the hugest fan of just listening to covers usually, so that probably holds this back a little bit for me, but this one really does the original justice. I'm happy with that, yeah. Go check it out if you haven't already. Chris Daughtry is ridiculous. Um, okay. So, this is a band that I discovered earlier this year when I was making said podcast that I mentioned earlier, called Boston Manor. They are like a pop punk rock alternative band, and their album last year, Glue, was on my list of favorite albums of last year, and I only checked it out like right before I made the podcast because I didn't have enough bands. I didn't have that problem this year. I actually had so many different things I was into this year that I felt like I had to make this list. But yeah, Glue. If this were last year, Glue would probably be like way up here. It's definitely an all timer for me. This is Desperate Times, Desperate Pleasures. It's a 6 song EP, I think it's a, I don't even know, 5 or 6 song EP. It's gonna go in the top of Amazing. It is fantastic. It definitely is a step down from Glue, but that's kind of hard because Glue is an incredible album. Um, Carbon Mono's really good. Uh, I I don't know. Algorithm's really good. Every song's good. It's just it's just one step down from an all timer because I feel like it's not as memorable as Glue for sure. And Boston Manor has quickly become one of my absolute favorite bands. They just have such a cool sound. I just saw them live last month, actually the beginning of this month, and they sounded incredible. So I can't wait to see more of them. I am always going to be looking forward to the releases from now on. So it's always nice to have more bands to look forward to when they put out music. So can't wait for that. Um, Next up, we have Bring Me the Horizon with their single Die For You. Um, I love Bring Me the Horizon. They are one of my top 5 favorite bands of all time at this point. Um, and pretty much everything they put out is awesome. This is going to go into solid but. And my thing here is it's a good song. It's solid, very solid release, but it's just not as good as everything else they've been putting out lately. And it's not a knock on them. It's just I feel like it sounds a little bit too much like what they've been doing. I don't know. I feel like they just have better efforts. It's a good song. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not the best thing they've put out lately. So, there's nothing wrong with that. They're one of the hottest bands in the world right now. Everything they do is good. So, not everything could be a home run. It's fine. It's still a perfectly good song. It's still going to be on my playlists and everything every now and then, but it's not something I'm going to go back to all the time and be like, wow, I love this. It's just pretty good. Nothing wrong with that. And then we're going to go to our first all-timer on the list. I believe there's only a small portion of these, and it is going to be Driver's License by Olivia Rodrigo. What a song. Like, I never heard of her before, and then she just comes out of nowhere with several great songs. Um, I'm not going to put the entire album on my list because there's only about 2 or 3 songs that I even really listen to, but this one is insanely good. Like, this is a song that I will probably listen to pretty much forever. So much emotion, so much feeling. Her voice is incredible. The songwriting is fantastic. I love everything about this song. It's funny because I heard it like early in the year, and I didn't really think that much of it. I thought, oh, this is a nice song. It's cool. But then for whatever reason, early in the summer, I heard it again and again, and it just came back to me, kind of like Blinding Lights. Not quite to that extent, where my neighbor played it over and over and over again, and it just kind of stuck in my head. But I don't know. I just heard it again, and I was like, you know what? This is a great song. And initially, I liked another song of hers better. We'll talk about that later. But over time, this has just stood the test of time and been more consistent to me. I think this is a better song, and I think that overall, this is an all-time great song, and it's probably the best song of the year. Not my favorite song of the year, but I think it's probably the best song of the year. Um, I actually debated between Desperate Times, Desperate Pleasures, and this being where they are in position, but ultimately I decided to go with Driver's License just because I think Driver's License is going to be one that stands the test of time a little more. Thirsty. Okay, next up, we are going to go with I'm having a hard time deciding whether I want to put this in great or amazing. Okay. I'm going to put this close to the top of great. This is the Eat EP by Poppy. Poppy, as pretty much anyone who has listened to any of my videos knows by now, is one of my favorite artists as well. I've only been listening to her about 2.5 years now, but she has quickly skyrocketed into my top five. Like everything she puts out is absolutely incredible. She is not only a great singer, she's a great artist, songwriter, whatever. Everything she does is great. Her image is great. Her whole presentation is fantastic. She knows exactly who she is as an artist, and she does it to a T. So I love everything about it. This EP came out as a promotion for WWE NXT, and that's how she debuted it. She actually like was on an episode of NXT and was like, "Oh, my EP Eat is out now." Like people knew there was music coming, but nobody knew when or anything. Nobody had heard anything really, and here it comes. And she just dropped it like that. I was actually in a hotel room. I was going to the studio, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's out!" So I listened to it, and it was awesome. Every song is good. I think it's 5 songs, and every song is really good. Everything, it's a completely different sound. Like she screams on it a lot, which she had not really done too much to that point. So it was a cool shift in style, and she had a great year. We'll get to her again later, but I love this EP, uh, and I'm gonna keep coming back to it. So yeah, and after that we have Echo by Of Mice and Men, which is also going to be right here in the middle of great. This was kind of a collection of singles. They released a bunch of these singles throughout the year, and everyone was so good. This is probably the best thing Of Mice and Men has released in a while. Defy was a really good album, but I think might actually be better. It's close. Aaron Pauley is so good. Austin Carlisle was really cool and all, but Aaron Paul is so much better in my opinion. He's a better singer, and his screaming is pretty much just as good. Their sound has only gotten better probably since. So, I mean, I loved Restoring Force. That sound was amazing. But I don't know, this just suits them so well. Pretty much everything I've heard from this is really, really good. And I love that they're continuing to do what they do best. I would love to see them again. I haven't seen them since Austin left the band, so it would be interesting to see was just Aaron Pauley fronting them. It's a lot to take on. As I believe he still plays bass as well, which is crazy since he sings and screams, does all the vocals. I'm sure someone does some backing vocals, but it's a lot of work. So this album's great. Definitely check it out if you haven't already. I love Obsolete. I love Timeless. I love Anchor, Bloom. There's so many good songs on this album. Definitely check it out. Okay. Um, Back to Poppy, as we just talked about her. Uh, this is Flux. And Flux is her brand new full length album. She released an EP in the summer and a full length in September. Busy year for Poppy. This is an all timer. This is my favorite album of the year. There's no debating it. As soon as it came out, I knew. Honestly, from the first like 3 singles, I knew. Flux was the lead single. I mean, first was it Flux that came? I don't know. All I know is Flux came out, and I knew. Like that song came out, and I was like, "This is the best. This is like my favorite song of the year, pretty much." Uh, I love the album. Every song is fantastic. This is the best album she's ever put out, in my opinion. I Disagree was fantastic last year. The Eat EP was really good, but Flux is incredible. Every song is awesome. Great, great artistic growth for Poppy. Instead of being kind of like a wacky, um, fun album, like I Disagree was kind of all over the place, this shows so much maturity and growth. Every album makes sense. It flows so well together. but there's still a lot of variety. So I love it. There's everything you can want on here, and I love it. It's so good. I can't keep saying it enough. I love it. It's such a good album. And Poppy has quickly become one of my favorites. I was supposed to see her in October, but the tour got postponed. So hopefully they'll reschedule it soon, and I can finally see Poppy live. Uh, what a what an album! Please check it out if you haven't already. It's so good. Flux on the level. Um, Her, So Mean. There's so many good songs. Less Than the Damage. Great album. Every song is awesome. Okay, now that I'm gun done. Now that I'm gun done. Now that I am done gushing about Poppy, let us move on to Mike Shinoda with his single Happy Endings featuring Ian Dior and Upsal. This was really good. I really enjoyed this single. It's like a nice pop song. It's not my favorite thing he's ever put out, but I think it's a good release. I'm going to put it here in good. Um, this is definitely the kind of song I could hear on the radio. And I can't say that about much of his solo stuff so far. But this is the one that I can see on the radio out of all of them. It's got that like perfect radio friendly sound, which I don't always love, but it's cool here. It works. Mike always has that charismatic flow that he's got. He's got such a pleasing voice. It just works so well. So great job, Mike. I'll always come back and listen to your stuff. I actually forgot about this one, to be honest. And I went back when I was listening to stuff from the year, and I was like, oh, how did I forget about this? This is a really good song. So I'm glad I remembered it. Next up, we have a full length album from Starset called Horizons. And you know what? It's solid. It's a very solid album. But same thing with Architects. There's so many songs. There's like 15 or 16 songs. And none of them are bad. I definitely wouldn't say that at all. Most of them are at least solid, but most of them kind of fillery. Like there's like 3 or 4 really good songs, and the rest I'm just kind of like, they're all right. It's definitely worthy of the list, but there's a lot of stuff on here that is very forgettable. Breach is really good. Leaving This World Behind is really good. De-Evolution, I believe, is awesome. Love that song. Uh, and there's a couple other ones that are all right. Oh no, I just ruined everything. Oh well. What am I doing? Whoops. But yeah, everything else is good. So as long as everything else is good, it's fine. But it could have been better. I just wish they hadn't used so much filler. But it happens. Bands just kind of tend to overdo it. Oh, and another issue: every song is like 5 minutes. Why do they have to be so long? There's like little interlude parts and everything too. It's a little unnecessary in my opinion. Still really good though. Starset's a good band. I love their sound. I just love that they do like the heavy thing with a lot of clean vocals. And when the screaming's there, it's really impactful. Like De-Evolution has some screaming, and it's so impactful in the song, so it works really well. Very 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 solid release. And next up, this is going to be our final all timer uh, of this list, and it is Hurt Wave with Night Therapy 1. I can't wait to hear Night Therapy 2. Hurt Wave is the singer and drummer from the band Dayseeker. Rory Rodriguez is one of the best vocalists I've ever seen live or heard on record. He is incredible. Dayseeker is more of like I don't know, metal. They're like alternative metal. I don't know what to call it. Post-hardcore, emotional band. And Hurt Wave is like ambient synth wave pop. It's so different from what I normally listen to, but it's so good. There's so much feeling in it, so much emotion, so much angst, and the songs are just so good. I don't know. It's not something that I would have expected to be one of my top albums of the year, But here we are, and it is going to be something I come back to for years to come. Again, I said I can't wait for Night Therapy 2. I'm also looking forward to seeing Dayseeker next year. I wish they'd put something else out, but this held me over for sure. So yeah, Hurtwave. If you've never heard of them, please check them out. You'll probably dig them. They're really good. Next up, we have Molotov by Stand Atlantic. It's a single that they put out, and it's fantastic. It's like a punk rocky type vibe, but it's really cool. It's it's something different. You know, it's not like everything they've put out before. It's a lot quicker, a lot harder hitting, and it's got a really cool sound. They had two really good singles this year that they put out, and this was the one I liked better. So, yeah, if you haven't heard Stand Atlantic, well, you're missing out. Their album Pink Elephant last year was fantastic, but it seems like they're going to continue on and do great things. So the two things they released this year were awesome, and this was the better one in my opinion. Next up, we have Papa Roach returning to the sound that is probably the best for them in my opinion. I think they sound fantastic on this. It is Kill the Noise. I'm going to put it right here in good. Papa Roach is one of those bands that people are like, oh, they're still around? Ew. But, like, for the most part, they've been doing great forever. Like, yeah, some of the stuff they put out is kind of cringy, but that's okay. You know, like, not every release is going to be incredible. So they're allowed to have a couple missteps here and there. They've been consistent and they've been great. They are fantastic live, and they're just a fun band. Everything they put out at least has good energy, and they're trying stuff. You know, at least they're experimenting. And you know what? They came back and they were like, you know what? This is what we want to do, and this is what it sounds like, and it's awesome. This song is great. Kill the Noise. I can't wait to see what their next release sounds like. I haven't been a huge fan of their last couple ones. Not that I've thought they're bad or anything, but nothing really stuck out to me. So finally something has, and I'm hoping most of it sounds like this because this is a great sound for them. Next, we have Pop Evil with Breathe Again, which is a single from their album, which is called Versatile. And Pop Evil is one of those bands that I've always seen that name and I've always been like, ugh, Pop Evil. What do they sound like? That sounds like a generic dad rock band. And parts of that are true. But this song has one of the best choruses I've heard the entire year. It's so good, so catchy. I love it. It's a great song. To put it right there in good. Oh my God. It's not something I would have expected. But look at me. Pop Evil. You would think I might like bands like this because some of the bands I like are kind of like that, but I'm unpredictable. Look at this list. It's all over the place. Check it out. Pop Evil actually did something really cool. And maybe they'll do more in the future. I don't know. Maybe I'll give them more of a listen because this song was really, really great. Next up, this one's gonna go in amazing. It is My Way by Paris, another single, and this is my favorite song they've released since White Noise. I think Dead Weight last year was fantastic, but I like this one better. I think super catchy. It's in and out. It doesn't overstay its welcome, which is important. There's a couple songs on this list that are like that are part of the reasons why I like them, because they don't overstay their welcome. They're short, sweet, get right to the point, and get out of there. And I think that's big. 5, 10, 5, 6, 7 minute songs can be exhausting. They have to be really interesting or done really, really well in order to be long. So the shorter, the better, in my opinion, with certain stuff. Okay. If it's like under 2 minutes, it better be really, really, really good, because otherwise I feel like that's almost a waste of time. But you get my point. Like between 2 and 3 minutes is kind of the 2 minutes and 3.5 minutes. That's like a sweet spot right there. Paris has been the most inconsistent band. Their stuff is either like amazing or like super boring, in my opinion. So, Every now and then they'll put out something that I'm like, wow, I hope everything else they put out sounds like this. And then it doesn't, and I get disappointed. But you know what? I can't be too mad at them because at least every now and then they'll put out something this great. So keep going, Paris. Lynn Gunn, you're doing great. So what a song. My Way. What a great song. Love it. Um, this one's a shocker. Rebecca Black. Yeah, that's right. That Rebecca Black. Friday, Friday. This song is called Worth It for the Feeling. I'm going to throw it right there at the bottom of good. Um, I ironically listened to this. Like, my friend and I were talking one night and we were like, huh, remember Rebecca Black? I wonder what she's been up to. So I went to her Spotify page and I checked it out. And the first song that I clicked on was this, Worth It for the Feeling. And I was like, wow, this actually sounds really good. Good for Rebecca Black. And it got stuck in my head and I kept listening to it. And here we are. I'm not going to say it's an amazing song. I'm not going to say it's like one of my favorite songs of the year or anything, but it's good. And it belongs on this list. It deserves a spot. That's about all I have to say about it. Just good for you, Rebecca Black. Good for you. Okay. Very top of great here. We are going to go with Seether Wasteland Alternative version from the, what is this EP called? Wasteland, the Purgatory EP. I should have known. I really like the song Wasteland from their previous album, which is in Latin. It's if you want peace, prepare for war. I don't remember the Latin name, something like that. And it's funny because I talked about the album earlier this year and I was like, there's only one song I like off the album. The rest of it's not that good. It's okay. And it wasn't even this song. And then I listened to the album more in depth and it's actually good. Like there's more than just one song. There's probably like 4 or 5 really good songs. And Wasteland is my favorite by far. If this were Wasteland from the original Wasteland, this would be an amazing. But since it's like the alternative version, it's like a stripped down version, which is still really good. I'm going to put it in great. It's not as good as the full band, like, like the full on version. So I'll put it in the top of great. Still a great song though. Like check it out. Check out the whole album. You could check out the EP too, I guess, but check out the actual album. It's like, I don't know. It's their most recent full length. It's from 2020. It's in Latin. So if you see an album with a name in Latin from Seether, check that out. Weird. Okay. We're going to come back to Olivia Rodrigo now with Good For You. That's going to go in amazing right there. Like I said, when I first heard this song, I thought this was my favorite song by hers. I felt like this was going to be an all-timer. And it's a great song. It's got that cool pop punk feeling to it. A lot of people were comparing it to Misery Business. I don't see that. I wouldn't call it like just like Misery Business or anything like that. But it's great. Like it definitely helps rock and pop punk as a whole to have such a huge pop artist like her embrace the sound kind of and bring it back into the mainstream a little bit. Her and MGK and people like that have been doing it more and more, which is awesome. So big props to Olivia Rodrigo. Obviously, she is a fan of some of these artists or, like some of the pop punk artists and stuff if she's doing music like this. So it's cool to see. And I love the song. Super catchy. Another one of the biggest songs of the year. And for good reason. It's awesome. And it's got a great sound. So 2 top tier songs from Olivia Rodrigo this year. This one, well deserving of a spot in my top 10, as it is. And finally, well, my final top 10 song, my final song that's going to make it into amazing. Not song, my final release that's going to make it into amazing. Spirit Box with their release, their full-length album Eternal Blue. It's going to go right there, number 10. And it's so cool. Like the whole album is so well produced. They've got such a cool sound. They're like heavy, but they're not. Like the vocals are very like versatile. Like she screams 1 minute and the next minute she's singing like really softly. Like it's not a good comparison, but like she kind of reminds me of like it kind of reminds me of Evanescence in some ways. Like obviously they're heavier. Their heavies are much heavier, but when they get kind of soft, it kind of reminds me of that. And that's kind of cliched to compare a female vocalist to Amy Lee, because it's not all female vocalists sound like Amy Lee or Haley Williams, obviously. But I just see that a little bit, not Haley Williams, but I see a little bit of Amy Lee in there, just a little. Um, Such a cool sound. I didn't even listen to it that much until the end of this year too. I kind of wish that I had listened to it earlier, because I feel like this might have even been higher. Like out of all the albums on this or all the releases here, I feel like this one has the most chance for growth in my personal opinion. Like I feel like if anything else is going to make it into all time or eventually, it could be this one, just because I feel like this could be like the beginning of something huge for that band. Like it already is. Like they've already gained a lot of attention from that. They're already opening for a lot of big tours now and stuff. So I think they're going to continue to do great things. And my favorite songs are probably "Hurt You," "Sun Killer," "Secret Garden's" great. There's a lot of great stuff on this album, and I feel like it's going to continue to move up this list for me. But for now, I'm going to keep it there, top 10. Because if you'd asked me maybe like a month ago, this probably wouldn't have even made my top 25, and now here it is. So I can't wait to see what Spirit Box does. They're so versatile and so awesome. I can't wait. Okay, we got two left, and this one is the second song by Stand Atlantic, and it is Death Wish featuring Nothing Nowhere. I'm going to put this right here in great. And Nothing Nowhere is like a rapper, and usually I'm not a big hip hop guy, but his feature is actually really cool. It works really well. Uh, it's like the perfect balance in that song. Another earworm. Their melodies are so catchy. They really know how to write songs. Like they're gonna be a pop punk powerhouse for years to come. I cannot wait to see what they do with this next release too. Like two absolute powerhouse singles this year. So I can't wait to see what they do. Um, and it's another female vocalist, and I have nobody to compare her to because I think she sounds extremely unique. Like I've heard one of my friends says she sounds like Kellen Quinn, but like I don't know. Maybe it's just because I didn't grow up listening to Sleeping with Sirens or anything. I don't see it, but that's fair, I guess. Maybe she's influenced by Sleeping with Sirens or something. But I don't know. She's got a cool voice. I can't wait to see what they do. And finally, we have Tetrarch with "You Never Listen" from their album, which is called Unstable. The album's fine. There's like three good songs on it or whatever, but I'm just gonna go with this one because I really like this more than anything else on the album. And it's gonna go right there into great, right above Chris Daughtry. And yeah, they've got a really cool sound. They got a throwback new metal sound. Like the vocals are kind of Linkin Park sounding almost. Uh, the instrumentals are really cool. It's just got a good sound. I love it. Um, yeah. So that would be my top 25 in order, pretty much. Number 25, we're gonna go with Starset Horizons. 24, Die for You by Bring Me the Horizon. 23, Worth It for the Feeling, Rebecca Black. 22, Happy Endings by Mike Shinoda. Ian Dior and Upsal, 21. Breathe Again by Pop Evil, 20. Papa Roach with Kill the Noise, 19. Happier Alone by Austin Mead, number 18. Attack Attack with Long Time No See, 17. Chris Daughtry and LaJohn Witherspoon with Hunger Strike, 16. You Never Listen by Tetrarch, 15. Echo by Of Mice and Men, 14. Avril Lavigne with Bite Me, 13. Death Wish by Stand Atlantic and Nothing Nowhere, 12. Eat EP by Poppy, 11. Wasteland Alternative Version by Seether, 10. Spirit Box with Eternal Blue, 9. Good For You by Olivia Rodrigo, 8. Molotov by Stand Atlantic, 7. Architects with For Those That Wish to Exist, 6. Black Hole by We Came as Romans featuring Caleb Shomo, 5. Paris with My Way, 4. Boston Manor with Desperate Times, Desperate Pleasures, 3. Driver's License by Olivia Rodrigo, 2. Hurt Wave with Night Therapy 1, and number 1, my favorite album of the year, Flux by Poppy. That is my tier list, and I hope you enjoyed. If you haven't already, please subscribe to me here on YouTube. You can also find me on Instagram at Robbie Rotten, ROBBIEROT, the number 10. Go ahead, follow me there. Subscribe here. Check it out. I will have more vocal covers coming in the new year. So, yeah. I hope you guys have a great 2022. Peace.